This is my second time recording this because the video just stopped recording. As I was saying, the difference between a person who has envy and a person who doesn't feel envy is their mindset. The person who feels envy has a scarcity mindset, whereas the person who doesn't really walk with envy, who doesn't really feel envy, they have an abundant mindset. And the abundant mindset says that there's enough for you and there's enough for me and there's enough for the whole world. And anyone achieving success, anyone having something that I don't have, there's still enough to go around. There is plenty, and the universe is generous. And a person who has a scarcity mindset believes that there's very limited resources and there's very limited success available for everyone. And so this is a major difference in how they operate and navigate the world. If you look at the characteristics between a person who operates on envy and a person who doesn't, the person who doesn't operate on envy, the reason they don't operate on envy is because they believe in their efforts and they're hard workers. So they believe that hard work gets you results. And so if they haven't got somewhere, if they haven't succeeded in any area, they look at themselves and they look at how they can improve themselves to get to where they want to. The difference is that they believe in their hard work, they believe in effort. And if they believe in hard work, they know that the solution is in them working harder. There are also people that don't take the easy path. They believe in the value of hard work. They don't believe in cheating their way through life to get to where they want. Whereas people who operate on envy want to take the easy path, want to take the easy route to success, and they're willing to cheat their way, to stamp on anyone, and to bring other people down to get to where they want. The other difference is that the people who don't operate on envy, they work with purpose. They have a desire to make positive impact in the world and bring meaning and work with purpose. And whereas the people who have envy, I would think, I'm just observing the people that I've come into contact with, and the people that feel envy most of the time that I've encountered are people that lack purpose and that lack a desire to make a positive impact in the world. And so they don't work with purpose, they don't desire to work with generating positive impact for the people. And not having that means that it doesn't matter how they get to the end, it's the end that matters. Whereas for the people who work with purpose, they believe in the journey and they believe in the end result. They believe that the journey is just as important as the end, because it's not only about the end result, it's not only about the successes, but it's about what you've become and how you've impacted the world positively, how you've created meaning from that. And so that is my observation from the people that I've met that operate on envy. And I think that these characteristics define whether you're going to feel envy or not. And I think it roots itself down to that abundance and scarcity mindset, that people who operate on abundance believe that there's enough for everyone. And an example I want to give is relationships. A person who believes in abundance but doesn't have a relationship, when they see other people in relationships, they feel happy for other people. They don't feel that someone else being in a relationship makes it less likely for them to achieve it. No, it actually inspires them that actually that person can do it, so it motivates them that there's hope for them. Whereas people who work on envy will see other people in relationships, will see people in happy relationships and want to break that. And through envy, they hurt people. And people who are not self-reflective of their envy, they will go around causing harm to other people without really thinking of the repercussions. A way to picture how envy and abundance work is that when someone is envious, they look at the other person or the other person's success as superior, because they believe that that person is ahead of them. So in their mind, that person is above them. And instead of looking at the person that they see as above them to be inspired by them, they think, okay, so they are here, the person that they envy is there, and instead of working towards success, they're going to stay where they are and they're going to bring that other person down so that they can feel that that person is on their level. The only tactics they have are to cause other people harm or to set other people back, but not to grow in any way. And the people with an abundant mindset, if they see someone who is ahead of them, someone who has achieved something they haven't, they look at that person who's ahead of them and they see, okay, because they believe in hard work and they believe that is what actually gets people to success, they will look at their own selves and look at the other person for inspiration and change what they're lacking to become a person who generates success. So they look at that person and they look at where they are and they work their way up to meet that level of success. And so the person with an abundance mindset is always growing, is always improving, and they're developing themselves, they're developing their skills, and so they become more confident. Whereas the person with an envious mindset, they never work on themselves, they never grow, they never develop themselves in any meaningful way. They will have to cheat their way to success. And so they will always feel a lack of confidence in themselves. They don't believe in themselves, they don't believe in their efforts, they don't believe in their hard work. They don't believe they can do that. And so this is how envy affects your ability to become successful. Because success is something that is a lifelong pursuit. You know, you might have success in career, but you might be unsuccessful in relationships. You might be successful in one area, but you lack success in another area. And so we're always looking to improve ourselves. And so the person of envy will always be experiencing envy, because in this circle they might be envious of that person, and then they're in another circle and they feel envious of another person, and so they're always in a state of insecurity, they're always in a state of feeling inferior to other people. Whereas the positive outcome of those who have an abundance mindset is that they don't feel inferior to other people. They feel that they can be just as good as the other person if they put in the effort. And so there isn't that comparison happening. They don't make comparisons with other people. They look for inspiration and they look for how they can better themselves. So they're always competing with themselves. And whereas the envious person is always competing with other people. And so a person of envy will always be in hostile relationships, will never be fully genuine in their relationships. And obviously that might not be a motivating factor for them. The motivating factor for envious people might be the end result, might be the success. But the truth is that it does actually affect your success. Because first of all, you're not becoming a person who can manifest success. So you're always going to feel threatened by other people. You'll feel threatened when you're around family, when you're around friends, when you're at work. When you're around people, you will always feel threatened, because you don't rely on your own hard work. And so this is a negative for people who feel envy and who operate on envy. They never feel secure within themselves. They're always looking to compete with other people, and they're never fully satisfied with what they have. They never feel inner joy. The reason is because they can't contribute meaningfully to other people. And there is a inner joy that you experience when you make positive impact in the world. Whereas when you're envious, envy is a form of hate, and so they're always operating on hatred, essentially, and so they never experience joy and they're deprived of joy. So we shouldn't really feel that people who are envious are really achieving a lot. Materially they might achieve things, but internally and spiritually they don't really achieve much. You know, they're deprived of so many joys. And another thing, which obviously the main motivating factor for envious people, is actual success. When you become a person who can manifest success, doors open for you. It becomes easy for you to attract success in other areas. And it's maybe a spiritual concept, but it is the idea that if you put good out in the world, good comes back to you. And if you put negativity and misfortune onto others, that misfortune comes back to you. So yes, you might experience temporary success, but you're always creating enemies and you're creating a hostile environment for yourself. So you're never going to feel secure. And that success might be temporary. And so that is perhaps a motivating factor for people who are envious, to change that mindset and to change that idea that there isn't enough in the world for everyone. You know, there are billions and billions of people that have come and gone, that have existed for so long, you know, and so the universe is so expansive, it's so big, it's so generous with its resources, and it has an abundance of resources. It's been feeding, it's been maintaining billions of people, and it continues to do so. And so you have to understand that the universe is abundant. You have to believe that the universe is abundant, because it is. And having the scarcity mindset really does affect you negatively and really closes doors that you wouldn't know could open if you believed differently.